Assalamu alaikum students. This is Ahmed Hussain from English Department of SMB QAPS Public School Higher Secondary Section. Well, my students, today we are going to discuss a new topic that is Endymion. Indeed, it is the poem written by John Keats, and however, it is the part of your English poetry book, and that's why it is exception as well, and so it's called Lines from Endymion according to your English poetry book. Well, my students, Endymion is basically written by John Keats, indeed, and it was published in 1818. However, its basis is the Greek legend of Endymion, variously a prince of Alice or a beautiful young shepherd who falls asleep on the slopes of the Mount Latmos. The moon goddess Selina or Scythia falls in love with him and make him sleep eternally so that she may always enjoy his beauty. My students, let's move forward and discuss its objectives before proceeding forward. And no doubt, as usual, we discuss objectives before discussing our video lecture, and also there are three objectives as well here. First of all, to comprehend stanzas. No doubt, while going through the stanzas and going through the poem and discussing all these stanzas, so ultimately we'll be able to increase our comprehension skills, and also at the same time we'll be we'll get a chance to enhance our vocabulary, because new words would become the part of our vocabulary bank. Finally, at the end, we'll analyze the central theme, the central idea of the poem. So my students, this was all about the objectives, and now you can observe a picture on your screen. And as right now I discussed and told you about the beautiful girl and the that goddess, the moon goddess, Cynthia falls in love with the Greek legend and make him sleep eternally so that she may always enjoy his beauty. And in this Keats poem, Cynthia takes him away to eternal life with her. The poem was made the object of a notoriously savage attack by John Wilson Crocker in the Quarterly Review. However, the story of the poem is mixed with the legends of Venus, Adonis, Glacius, Celia, and Arethusa, and it is indeed the product of sensation rather than thought and emotion. Whereas the lines which are selected and are extracted out from that Endymion depict lyrical charm and human beauty. So my students, let's move forward, and here you can observe the picture of the poet John Keats on your screen. Well, no doubt he was the great poet in London, and he was born in London, where his father was the manager of large livery stables, and after his father's death his mother remarried but soon separated from her second husband and went with the children to live with her mother at Edmonton, where she died of TB in 1810. From the ages of 10 to 14, John Keats divided his time between his grandmother's home and Clark's school at Enfield. Here, he was noted more for his love of cricket and boxing than for any studiousness until his final 2 years, when he began to read voraciously, particularly the books on Greek mythology, and started a translation of Virgil's Aeneid. The power and the breadth of his poetry showed every sign of developing vastly. His letters manifest great intellectual strength, deep critical insight, and complete dedication to poetry. Well, his famous works are the Eve of Saint Agnes, the Ode to Gratian's Urn, Endymion, Sleep and Poetry, Ode to Nightingale, Ode to Autumn, and so more. So here we are going to discuss a poem that is indeed these are indeed the lines from Endymion, and I have right now described Endymion, and these are the extracted and the excerpt from that poem. And this is the first stanza in front of all of you. Here the poet says, "A thing of beauty is a joy forever. Its loveliness increases. It will never pass into nothingness, but still will keep a bower quiet for us, and a sleep full of sweet dreams and health and quiet breathing." Well, my students, as I earlier mentioned, that it is a poem of a great beauty, and in this poem the poet has expressed his conception of beauty and is given a unique definition. According to classical mythology, Endymion was a beautiful youth with whom moon goddess fell in love, and on whom she induced a perpetual sleep in order to kiss him without his knowledge. However, in these oft-quoted famous opening lines of the poem, Keats is giving his views on the concept of beauty and its influence on human life. Well, he believes that an object of a rare and real beauty communicates to human soul the message of lasting joy and eternal relief. Beauty is immortal like truth, hence it never dies and fades. Moreover, the charm of a lovely object is unaffected by time. This charm goes on increasing with the flight of time. Moreover, the poet says that beauty always remains a constant source of peace and joy. That's why he has written here, he has said that a thing of beauty is a joy forever. It has a refreshing, soothing, and healthy impact on human life, and it will keep a quiet and steady in time for the person. Furthermore, the poet says that beauty always remains a constant source of joy and peace, and it enables us to breathe freely. That's why here the poet says that a bower quiet for us, and a sleep full of sweet dreams and health and quiet breathing. Well, the poet wants to say that the life is full of pains and sufferings. Still, we cling to it because of the conceptions, because of the compensations offered to us in some form of beauty. Thus, the presence of beautiful objects around us is an eternal source of comfort and happiness. Well, my students, let's move towards a second stanza, where the poet says, "Therefore, on every morrow are we wreathing a flowery band to bind us to the earth, spite of despondence, of the inhuman dearth, of noble nurtures, of the gloomy days, of all the unhealthy and over-darkened ways made for our searching, yes, in spite of all." My students, here in the second stanza of the poem, the poet John Keats went to his strong romantic faith that a real and rare objectives of beauty have the power to make us forget our sorrows and griefs as they take us away from the world of bitter realities into the world of imagination. Therefore, Keats says that on every day we wreath a flowery band in order to join ourselves with the earth, which is an unattractive and unhappy place. That's why in his famous novel Thomas Hardy, an eminent Victorian novelist and poet, says that his world is blighted star, meaning that this world is full of difficulties, hardships, troubles, and griefs. Thus, man can never be happy in this problem-plagued world. So, the John Keats expresses the same ideas but with a difference. and it is beauty which makes all the difference. That's why, according to Keats, the world is an unattractive place full of griefs and troubles. There is shortage of men and women of good character and noble thoughts. Moreover, darkness is prevailing everywhere, so the life is full of sorrow, disappointment, and disease. But in spite of all this, some shape of beauty, whether in the nature, human history of literature, removes the darkness from the world. Furthermore, beauty dispels darkness and makes us happy, gives us courage to bear the difficulties and hardships of life and take interest in the world. That's why the poet says, spite of despondence of the inhuman dearth of noble nurtures of the gloomy days, of all the unhealthy and over-darkened ways, met for our searching, yes, in spite of all. Well, in these thought-provoking lines, the Keats describes the realities of the world, but at the same time, he does not forget beauty, which makes a person forgetful of his griefs and worries. No doubt, beauty removes the pall from our dark spirits. Well, my students, let's move forward towards the other the third stanza of this poem. Here, in this poem, the poet says that some shape of beauty moves away the pall from our dark spirits, such the sun, the moon, trees, old, the moon, trees old and young, sprouting a shady boon. For simple sheep and such are daffodils, with the green world they live in, and clear rills that for themselves a cooling covert make. Giants, the hot season, the mid-forest brake, rich with a sprinkling of fair musk blooms. Well, my students, in these lines, here the poet has described some of natural objects and natural things where he tries to explain about the beautiful aspects of the nature, where he describes the realities of the world, but at the same time he does not forget beauty, which makes a person forgetful of his griefs and worries. Indeed, beauty removes the pall from our dark spirits. Moreover, in these lines, the Keats gives his strong faith that real objects of beauty, whether in nature, human history, or literature, have the power to make us forget our sorrows and griefs as they take us away from the world of bitter reality. Moreover, my students, we are going to conclude this poem by these lines that, and such too is the grandeur of the dooms we have imagined for the mighty dead, all lovely tales that we have heard or read, an endless fountain of immortal drink pouring unto us from the heavens spring. Well, my students, in these concluding lines, Keats give his faith, his romantic faith, that real objects of beauty, whether in nature, whether in human history of literature, have the power to make us forget our sorrows and griefs as they take us away from the world of bitter reality into the world of imagination. Moreover, he refers to the various shapes of beauty which please us and make us forgetful of our griefs and worries. Furthermore, he says that The grand deaths and the splendid destinies we have imagined for the brave heroes of history are also a a beautiful thing, because they too inspire us to deeds of nobility and fortitude. Similarly, works of art and literature created over centuries are also a thing of beauty. And all these lovely tales which we have read or heard and beautiful objects of art are a permanent source of endless joy. Well, at these concluding lines, Keats says that the beauty is something unearthly. It is being showered upon mankind from the heaven like a divine blessing. That's why he says, pouring unto us from the heavens brink. Well, my students, this was all about the poem, and now at the end we'll just discuss the central idea, its theme. Well, after going through the whole poem stanza wise, we have come up to the conclusion, and we have drawn the central idea that this poem gives a theme, that a thing of beauty is a permanent source of joy. Thus, the beautiful thing may be natural, human history, or literature. The sense of beauty is preserved in memory and gives pleasure on remembering it. Well, that was all about our today's video lecture. Students, we have discussed the whole poem here, and now at the end I hope all the objectives have been fulfilled and all the objectives have been achieved, because we have tried to discuss these stanzas and try to comprehend all these stanzas, and hopefully the new words would become the part of your vocabulary bank. And also at the same time, at the end, we discuss the central idea as well. So students, now after watching this video from your side, we'll send a worksheet for all of you with respect to the feedback from your side. Thank you so much, and wish you all the best of luck, my students.